Let's go JavaScripting! Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and today we're taking a look at the for in and for of constructs. Now specifically, I'm going to show you the difference between using for of and for in, why you should use one with a certain objects and the other with other types of objects, and why you shouldn't mix the two together. Want to see how they work? Let's get started. All right, let's first take a look at the for in statement. Now, first of all, what does it do? Well, the for in statement enumerates over the innumerable properties of an object. And it's extraordinarily important here. Innumerable properties. And we'll show you why that's important here in just a minute. And it's extraordinarily easy to use. I've got an object here which has three properties: type, name, and class. And these are innumerable properties within that object. So by using the for in loop, which is right here, it's basically going to say, okay, give me each innumerable property within my cat, and then execute any line of code within the block for each property within the object. So in this case, I have three innumerable properties: type, name, and class. So what I should expect when I run the for const cat property in my cat, it should first have cat property should first come in type, then come in name, then come in class. Now in reality, there's really no specified order that for in will actually return this. Now I'm just telling you, hey, it should probably do type, name, and class because that just happens to be the list I have here. It could very easily come out to be class, name, and type. It just enumerates the properties. It doesn't enumerate them in any certain order. It just so happens that's the order is most likely going to happen because that's the order that I get built, and I'm not doing any changes to the object. But it's real simple. Cat property will represent the key for each individual key value pair. And so basically to get the value itself, I just do a very simple index on the object itself. And that's all there is to it. Let's see how it works. Let's go to node for in. Yep, the property type contains cat, name is fluffy, and class is mammalia. So, hey, it worked exactly the way it does. So, is that it? Well, basically, yes, that is all. That is really all there is to it. But there's a couple of things that are gotchas within using the for in loop. First of all, it will not enumerate over any kind of symbols. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's pop a symbol in there. I got some code right here. And so basically, I'm going to create myself a new symbol called tail, and I'm going to insert that as basically a key within the my cat. So now my cat has a symbol called tail, which will be a key, and the value will happen to be true. So when I do a console.log my cat, you should see the value of, or you should see the symbol there for the tail appearing inside my cat. And we should be able to get the listing here in the const cat property in my cat in the for in loop. So let's flip back over to node. Let's clear off our screen. Let's do a node in, and whoa, what happened here? There's my symbol. That's exactly what I expected. You know, I've got a new key symbol here and I made it true, but look, for in doesn't show it. So that's one of the first gotchas with for in. If you use for in, you're not going to be able to use symbols as any kind of keys within the object. If you do, it won't find it. And there'll be other ways you can find it, and we'll take a look at that, you know, a little bit later on in another Boring JavaScript. For right now, don't use for in if you happen to know if you're going to get symbols. Now, what's the other gotcha? Well, the other gotcha is if you happen to be working with arrays. So I'm going to throw up an array here at the very end. And of course, it's still the same thing. I got animals. I'm going to array called animals. And I'm going to use for in on animals and do a console.log for the animal. Now, remember, this is going to enumerate over the enumerated properties. Now, an array actually is an object, so each index happens to be an enumerated property. So what I should expect here to see for animal should be 0 through, I think that's going to be 8. Let's check it out and find out. Let's save it. Let's go over to node. Let's clear off the screen. And yep, that's exactly what happened. I got 0 through 8. So you can use for in with an array, right? No, you cannot. because the key here is that it goes over each enumerated property of an object, which means that for-in does not know whether your array is an object or it's an object or it's just a plain old object. Remember, arrays are objects. So if I was to do something like this, which I've actually seen people do things like this, we'll call it zoo name equals my zoo. That basically assigns another property to the animal's array. Arrays are objects, so I can assign my own property to it. So now if I save it and if I run in Node, notice that it found zoo name there too. So if you use for-in there thinking that you're just going to get the indexes, no. If somebody has happened to add any kind of specialized property to the array, which is perfectly legal, then your array is going to blow up if you're expecting that to be an index number. So never use for-in within an array. And of course, the other reason you shouldn't be using it also is that, remember, for-in doesn't report the order, doesn't report the same order of the properties that you have inserted them. Now, in this particular case, it did, and to be quite honest with you, I couldn't figure out how to get it to not do this. But there's absolutely no guarantee that for-in was going to give you the indexes in that particular order. It could have gone 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7 for all we really know. So never use for-in with any kind of, if you have an object that has a symbol for a key, and never use, especially use for-in on an array. So that's really all there is to for-in. Well, how about our other construct, for-of? That's next. So if you can't use for-in, what can you use? Well, you could use the for loop or the for each method, which I covered in my very first Boring JavaScript video, so many videos ago. Or you can use for-of, which is located on line 13 here. And the only difference between for-of and for-in is the word in and of right there. Otherwise, they're both exactly the same, but they do two totally different things. While for-in goes over or loops through each of the enumerable properties of an object, for-of goes over the iterable properties or the iterable function of a particular object. For instance, arrays are iterable. A map or a set are iterable. A DOM node list is iterable. So anything that is iterable, you can use for-of. And before, where for-in returned the key, in this case, when we did the for-in on our regular animal, it returned type, name, and class. Instead of returning the key, what for-of returns is the actual element itself. So in this particular case, when I say for animal of animals, my animal is going to be this entire animal, then that entire animal. So it's not going to return 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. It's going to return the entire entry of the array. So let's check that out and see how that works. Let's go into Node, and let's do for-of. Yep, and there you go. As you can see, it returned the entire entry of the array. So if you recall in my previous video here, in fact, let's just flip over to the code. I added a property to our arrays and showed you that the for-in method will also not only get you the numbers of the arrays here, but it also enumerated the object, the additional object I put on the array. What if I do the same thing here? Let's do that. Animals.zoo name equals my zoo. So what's going to happen here? Well, for-of will go over the iterable parts of the iteration or the iterable array, but this is not iterable. It's not included within the iterable parts. So since for-in did it, would for-of do it? Let's find out. Let's clear the screen off. And nope, it sure didn't. And again, why did it not do it? Because for-of is used to go over iterable objects. ZooName here is a property. It's an enumerated property, but it is not part of the iterable part of the object itself. So for-of is absolutely wonderful to be able to very quickly just do a quick little loop over any kind of iterable object like an array, a map, or a set, while a for-in is if you want to iterate over the enumerable properties of a particular object. And that's the big difference between for-in and for-of. And that's all there is to using the for in and for of constructs within JavaScript. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope I didn't bore you to death. Please make sure you click on the like button below and subscribe to this channel for more boring JavaScript updates. Also, you can see all of our videos at www.boringjavascript.com or see everything we do at www.thevirtualoid.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.